The galaxy was not a quiet place. Stars burned, planets turned, and countless civilizations moved through the void. But on this day, in the contested star system of Zorath, all eyes turned to a single point in space. The Zorath system had become the center of an interstellar crisis. For years, an alien coalition had gathered here, preparing to resist humanity's rise among the stars. The coalition was powerful, made up of dozens of species, each with fleets of ships armed with advanced weapons. They believed they were ready for anything except what humanity actually did. Because when the human forces finally answered the coalition's challenge, they did not send a grand fleet. They sent just one ship. The alien admiral stared at the sight in disbelief. Holographic maps showed the intruder clearly, a lone vessel breaking through the system's edge. It was not even particularly large. Compared to the massive dreadnoughts of the coalition, this human ship looked small, almost fragile. Its hull bore scars of past battles, dark streaks across silver plating, as though it had already seen more war than it should have. In the central command hall of the coalition, voices rose in confusion. Just one? Hissed Admiral Ralketh of the CERN Dominion, his scaled face twisting with anger. Do they mock us? Do they think one human ship can stand against us all? Others muttered in equal disbelief. Some suspected it was a trap. Some believed it was arrogance. A few quietly felt unease, because humanity had already shown a strange habit of defying expectations. Still, the numbers seemed clear. The coalition had hundreds of ships in the Zorath system. Frigates, cruisers, carriers, and massive battleships. Against that, one human vessel was nothing. It was as if a single raindrop had fallen into a stormy sea, yet that single raindrop refused to vanish. On the bridge of the human ship Resolute, Captain Elias Ward stood with his crew. He was not young, though not yet old either. His eyes carried the calm of a man who had faced fear and learned to master it. His crew trusted him completely even now as they stared out at the overwhelming fleets ahead. Signal confirmed, reported Lieutenant Caravance. The coalition is watching us closely. No hostile action yet. Good, Captain Ward said, his voice steady. Then let's give them something to watch. He ordered a transmission. A clear, simple message was sent across the system, repeated in multiple alien languages. This is the human vessel Resolute. We have come to speak, not to fight. The coalition leaders erupted in anger when the message arrived. Arrogance, shouted Ralketh. They insult us all. One ship to negotiate against our fleets? They must believe us fools, but some hesitated. The humans had not come firing weapons. They had come with words. And if there was one thing the coalition had learned about humans, it was that they never did anything without reason. The system fell into a tense silence. The human ship Resolute advanced slowly, steadily. Its engines glowed with quiet power. Strange energy readings flickered around its hull, unstable, shifting, but controlled. Alien scientists tried to analyze it, but the data made no sense. The ship did not match any known human design. It looked both old and new, scarred yet advanced. It was as if humanity had taken everything it had learned from 100 battles and forged it into a single vessel. Perhaps it is a prototype, one coalition analyst suggested. A test of a new human weapon. If so, replied another, why send it alone? No one had an answer. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute, the crew watched the enemy fleet surrounding them. Screens showed hundreds of targets, each locked and ready to fire. Yet Captain Ward stood calm. They expect fear, he told his officers. They expect us to beg or retreat. We will do neither. We will show them what it means when humans arrive. The words spread through the crew like quiet fire. Fear was replaced with determination. Each man and woman at their station straightened, eyes sharp, hands steady. They were one ship against hundreds, but they were human, and that meant something. Back in the coalition command hall, arguments grew fierce. We should destroy them now, Admiral Ralketh insisted, slamming a clawed hand on the table. End this insult before it grows. No, countered Admiral Taylor of the Vayari, her voice soft but firm. We must be cautious. Humans are never what they appear. If they send only one ship, it is because one ship is enough. The hall fell silent at her words. Many disliked humans, but none could deny their history. Time and again, humans had survived where others would have fallen. Time and again, they had turned weakness into strength. The coalition had gathered here because of fear. Fear that if humanity was not stopped now, it might never be stopped at all. The Resolute continued forward, unshaken. It did not fire weapons. It did not raise shields. It simply moved, broadcasting the same calm message. We have come to speak. Not to fight. For the alien fleets, this was maddening. For the human crew, it was the beginning of a test unlike any they had ever faced, because the real battle had not yet begun. The real battle was not of weapons or ships. It was of willpower, of strategy, and of the strange human ability to make the impossible seem inevitable. Whispers spread among the coalition crews. Some began to doubt their leaders. Others wondered if this one human ship hid something far more dangerous. Rumors twisted into fear. The idea took root that perhaps this was no ordinary vessel, but a symbol, a message written in steel. If one ship could enter their system without fear, what else could humanity do? On the Resolute, Captain Ward watched the fleets shift nervously. His officers exchanged glances, sensing the tension rising. "They're waiting for us to show weakness," said Lieutenant Vance. "Then we won't," Ward replied. His gaze remained fixed on the stars ahead. They will learn soon enough why humanity sent only one ship. And so, in the vast silence of the Zorath system, the stage was set. One side with hundreds of ships, the other with only one. One side confident in numbers, the other confident in something else entirely. No shots had been fired yet, but the galaxy was already holding its breath. The alien coalition could not stop talking about the single human ship. Every command center, every strategic forum, and every communication hub buzzed with debate. One ship against hundreds, one ship standing boldly at the edge of the Zorath system while thousands of alien vessels waited. "Do you see this?" Admiral Ralketh hissed, pacing before the holographic display of the human ship. His sharp claws tapped rhythmically on the polished floor. "It moves forward as if we are not even here. Does it not fear annihilation?" Admiral Taylor of the Vayari leaned on the console beside him, her calm green eyes studying the ship. "Fear is not always visible," she said. "Humans are unpredictable. They have survived far worse situations than this. One ship may be enough if they plan carefully," Ralketh scoffed. "Careful? This is madness. One ship, against all of us." But deep down, even he could not dismiss the truth. Humanity was different. Time and again, humans had turned weakness into strength. They had faced impossible odds in countless battles, on planets in orbit, in space beyond their reach. And they had survived. Across the system, alien scouts reported unusual readings from the human vessel. The Resolute emitted energy signatures unlike anything the Coalition had catalogued. Its engines flickered with irregular pulses, sometimes accelerating slightly, sometimes dimming, yet it continued forward without faltering. "This is not normal," said an engineer of the Zorath fleet, his tentacles trembling as he examined the data. "It's almost as if the ship is alive, adjusting itself in ways we cannot predict." "Impossible," another replied. "Human ships are primitive compared to our technology. How could one do something like this?" The truth was simple. The Coalition had underestimated humans for decades. Humans were creative, clever, and persistent. They did not always rely on superior firepower. They relied on mind, instinct, and determination, and now, the Coalition was beginning to wonder if those qualities had been underestimated again. On board the Resolute, Captain Ward studied the Coalition's movements. Hundreds of ships arrayed in precise formations, each bristling with weapons. The humans had faced worse situations, but nothing so vast, and yet he remained calm. "Lieutenant Vance," he said, "scan their formations. Identify weak points and any unusual behaviors." "Yes, sir," she replied, fingers flying across the controls. The ship's sensors picked up tiny gaps between ships, brief pauses in their maneuvers, and energy fluctuations. The aliens were nervous. They did not expect humanity to be here, and their unease was visible. "Interesting," Ward murmured. "They are hesitant. They are testing us. They think we might break, but we won't." The Coalition gathered for an emergency council. Leaders from dozens of species debated furiously over strategy. Some argued for immediate attack. Others suggested retreat to reorganize. A few whispered about diplomacy, though most dismissed it outright. "Attack!" Ralketh bellowed, slamming his claw on the table. "One human ship cannot stand against us. Strike now and end this." "No," Taylor said quietly, holding up a clawed hand for silence. "If we attack, we risk losing more than a few ships. Humans are patient. They do not rush recklessly. One ship might be small, but the threat is larger than we understand. The room fell silent. Taylor's words carried weight. Humans were patient, yes, and dangerous in ways the Coalition could not measure. One ship might seem small, but humans had a way of turning minimal resources into maximum impact. Prepare a warning, she continued. Do not engage unless provoked. Observe their behavior. Study them. Learn their intentions, Relkith growled, but eventually nodded. For now, he had no choice. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute, the crew remained focused. The bridge hummed with quiet activity, screens flashing as sensors monitored the alien fleets. Captain Ward walked among his crew, offering calm words and reassurance. They are testing us, he said. They want to see if we hesitate. We will not. Stay alert, follow protocols, and trust in each other. The crew nodded. Their training and discipline shone through, even in the face of overwhelming numbers. Fear existed, yes, but it did not dominate. It was controlled, used as a tool to sharpen focus. Sir, Vance said, they're starting to probe our shields. Small energy pulses, likely testing our defenses. Ward's eyes narrowed. Let them test. We know our limits. We know our capabilities. They are learning, but we are learning too. In the Coalition's observation decks, alien leaders watched the humans' reaction closely. Every movement of the Resolute was analyzed. Some began to notice patterns. The ship adjusted its speed in tiny increments, subtly avoiding the Coalition's probes. The shields fluctuated only when necessary, conserving energy yet remaining effective. Do you see this? An analyst whispered to his superior. It is not just moving. It is thinking, adapting, predicting, the superior snorted. It is only one ship. How much could it possibly do? Yet even as he spoke, the unease spread. The human crew moved as if they were connected, anticipating and countering potential threats without firing a single shot. The aliens had weapons ready, yet the humans did not panic, did not make rash maneuvers, did not retreat. It was almost impossible to read. On the bridge of the Resolute, Ward leaned over the main console. His mind raced through possibilities. They could not afford a mistake. One error, one miscalculation, and the Coalition could destroy them in an instant. But Ward trusted his crew, and more importantly, he trusted the human way of thinking. Humans thrived in adversity. They found solutions when none seemed possible. They turned fear into strategy. Lieutenant, he said, ready the communication array. I want to maintain open channels. We are here to negotiate. Make it clear. We are not here to fight unless we are forced to. Yes, sir, Vance said, sending the message in multiple alien languages. The Coalition received it with mixed reactions. Some laughed. Others scowled. Few paused to consider what it meant. One ship alone, moving boldly, speaking boldly, and refusing to raise weapons. Do they not understand the danger? Relkith demanded. They understand, Taylor said, but they are human. They have a method to their actions. One ship is enough for them because they know how to survive, how to adapt, how to make us hesitate. Observe carefully or you will regret underestimating them, Relkith growled. But a small part of him, the part he would never admit aloud, recognized her words were true. The human crew continued their slow advance, scanning and observing. They identified minor flaws in alien formations, noting where ships moved slightly slower or where shields momentarily faltered. Every detail was recorded. Every anomaly studied. It was not aggressive. It was preparation. Humanity did not strike blindly. They gathered knowledge, assessed risk, and waited for the right moment, if it came at all. The aliens, meanwhile, could not stop their growing worry. One ship should not be capable of such confidence. One ship should not inspire hesitation in fleets hundreds strong. Yet that was exactly what happened. As the hours passed, small skirmishes began. Minor probes sent to test the Resolute were easily deflected, sometimes without the aliens realizing they had been blocked. It was subtle, precise, and almost elegant. Humans did not fight aggressively. They adapted, avoided unnecessary risks, and showed skill that left the Coalition uneasy. Is it possible, one analyst asked quietly, that one ship could hold its own against an entire fleet? Not just possible, another replied. It is likely. Humans have a history of surviving impossible odds. Perhaps they even thrive in them. For the first time, doubt entered the minds of the Coalition leaders. One ship against hundreds. And yet it was not the threat of destruction that worried them. It was the confidence, the patience, the strategy of the humans. And that worry spread quietly, like a shadow across the stars, because they had underestimated humans before, and now they feared they might have underestimated them again. The Resolute continued forward, undeterred. Its crew worked in silence, united, alert. Its captain watched the fleets of the coalition, calculating, observing, and preparing for whatever would come next. And the galaxy waited, holding its breath. One human ship. One moment of calm before the storm. The stage was set for the next challenge, and doubt had already begun to tip the balance. The Zorath system hummed with tension. The alien coalition, a combination of dozens of species, watched the lone human ship with growing unease. Each passing hour added weight to their doubts. One ship, one human vessel, yet it moved with calm precision, a silent challenge that unsettled the largest fleets in the galaxy. Inside the coalition's command halls, debate raged. Admiral Ralketh's temper flared at every suggestion to delay aggression. "Strike now," he shouted. "One ship cannot survive us all. We can destroy it before it becomes a problem." "Strike too early," Taylor warned calmly, "and you may trigger the very disaster you hope to prevent. Humans are clever. They prepare for every eventuality, and one ship may hide power we cannot imagine." Some younger admirals scoffed. How could a single human vessel stand against their overwhelming firepower? Yet the older, more cautious leaders remembered history. Every time humanity faced impossible odds, they survived and even thrived. On board the Resolute, Captain Elias Ward walked the bridge, studying the alien formations through the wide observation window. The ship's silver hull gleamed faintly against the starlight, while the engines pulsed with quiet energy. Every movement of the Coalition's fleet was tracked, every pattern analyzed. "Sir," Lieutenant Caravance reported, "they're testing our shields again. This time smaller strike drones. They seem to expect resistance." Ward nodded. "Let them. We will respond only as needed. Observation first, defense second. Let's see what they reveal about themselves." The crew moved like a single organism, each operator focused on their station. Sensors scanned, shields adjusted, and the ship's engines subtly shifted to maintain balance. No panic, no wasted effort. Just human precision, calm and exacting. Meanwhile, back in the Coalition's halls, the alien leaders grew increasingly uneasy. Reports came in that the human ship was responding almost before attacks reached it. Tiny energy pulses were deflected with almost no effort, and minor skirmishes ended with minimal damage to the humans. "Impossible," a technician muttered. "It is only one ship. How can it react so quickly?" "Not impossible," another replied. "Humans do not always rely on brute force. They anticipate, adapt, and exploit weaknesses. One ship may be enough because it is not fighting like the rest of us would." Admiral Ralketh's claws clenched in frustration. "Then what do we do? Do we wait while it learns our weaknesses?" Taylor's calm voice cut through the tension. "Yes, watch, study, underestimate them, and you may pay dearly. One human ship is not just a vessel, it is a strategy." Even Ralketh could not ignore the truth. Every observation showed the humans were learning, adapting, and finding weak points in the Coalition's formations. The longer they waited, the more advantage humanity gained. Aboard the Resolute, Ward continued to monitor the Coalition's fleet. He could sense the tension rising through the energy readings, the subtle shifts in formation. The aliens were impatient. They wanted action, yet they were hesitant to strike. "Captain," Vance said, "they are moving a small fleet closer, likely to test our firepower." "Let them," Ward replied. "We will respond efficiently, not aggressively. We do not need to prove strength, only precision." The drones approached, small and fast, attempting to probe the human ship's shields. The Resolute moved slightly, barely noticeable as its defense systems adjusted. A few pulses struck, absorbed perfectly, and the drones retreated without causing real damage. "Adaptation," Ward murmured. "They will learn, but we will teach them carefully." The alien leaders observed, growing more confused and frustrated. One of the younger admirals spoke nervously. "They're surviving our tests." And almost effortlessly. "How?" Taylor leaned forward, her eyes steady. "Because humans do not rely on what we consider strength. They rely on perception, prediction, and courage. This ship is small, but it has the unseen edge. Human ingenuity." Ralketh's frustration boiled over. "It is only one ship. How much can ingenuity matter against hundreds of weapons?" Yet he did not answer himself, because deep down he feared the answer was more than you expect. Inside the Resolute, the crew began to see the Coalition's weaknesses: minor gaps in formation, tiny delays in shields, and brief pauses in firing sequences. Each observation was noted, each anomaly logged. The humans were not attacking yet. They were preparing, learning, and waiting for the right moment. Captain Ward walked slowly along the bridge, observing his team. He saw focus and determination in every face. They were calm because they trusted each other. They were strong because they had no choice but to be. The Coalition believes their numbers matter most, Ward said quietly. But one ship, if guided well, can achieve what hundreds cannot. They will see soon enough. In the alien halls, the doubt had begun to spread. One by one, leaders whispered to each other. Could they truly destroy the human ship without loss? Could they anticipate its moves? Perhaps we have underestimated them, a senior admiral finally admitted. They are patient, observant, and precise. We thought one ship would be nothing, but it may be enough. Relketh's claws tightened. Enough? One ship is not enough. We are hundreds strong. Yes, Taylor said softly. But humans are not like the rest of us. They see possibilities we cannot. One ship is their advantage because it forces us to doubt ourselves. The room fell silent. Doubt, once small, had begun to grow. Back on the Resolute, a minor alert sounded. Another small probe approached faster than the last. The crew reacted instantly, shields adjusting and sensors recalculating energy flow. The ship moved in almost imperceptible increments, deflecting the probe without damage. Lieutenant Vance smiled slightly. They think they are testing us, but they are teaching us too. We know more now than when we entered this system. Ward nodded. Exactly. Knowledge is the unseen edge. One ship, one crew, one mind focused. It is more powerful than hundreds acting blindly. The aliens, observing from afar, could not see the thought process inside the Resolute. They only saw the results. One ship surviving, adapting, and never faltering. Hours passed. The Coalition sent larger probes, then small strike ships, then a few frigates, all attempting to gauge the humans' response. Every attempt failed to shake the Resolute. Every failure caused the aliens to hesitate more. This is troubling, one admiral admitted. Their skill is not in weapons, it is in strategy. One ship is holding its own against us without even firing properly. Relketh's roar echoed through the halls. Then we must escalate. Show them the cost of arrogance. Taylor raised a hand. Wait. Escalation may be exactly what they expect. One ship can teach us patience, but if we rush, we will only expose ourselves. Watch. Learn. Humans do not strike recklessly. They act when the time is right. The Resolute continued its advance, slow and deliberate. Its crew worked seamlessly, anticipating minor attacks, avoiding unnecessary risk, and learning everything the Coalition revealed. Every observation strengthened their understanding of the alien fleets. Every movement demonstrated calm confidence. Even the youngest crew members felt the tension, but it did not overwhelm them. Human courage was quiet and persistent. It did not shout. It did not panic. It adapted. It learned. It waited for the unseen edge to appear. In the alien command halls, whispers turned into conversations and conversations into worry. One human ship had become a symbol, a question that could not be answered. How could so little pose such a threat? Taylor observed silently. One ship is teaching them fear without even firing. That is the unseen edge, the edge we have never experienced. They survive by thinking differently, by acting differently, by being human. Even Relketh could not argue. Humans had a way of achieving the impossible. One ship, one crew, one mind focused entirely on survival, observation, and adaptation. It was more than just a vessel. It was strategy made real. As the sun of Zorath gleamed on distant planets, the lone human ship glided through space. Calm, steady, alive with purpose. The Coalition fleets watched, hesitant, uncertain, and beginning to understand that the humans were not like any enemy they had faced before. And aboard the Resolute, Captain Ward knew the first lessons had been learned. They had not fired a single weapon, yet they had already claimed the advantage. They had not fought yet, but they had already shown the Coalition that one human ship could do more than hundreds of alien vessels acting together. The unseen edge was real, and humanity wielded it with quiet confidence. The Zorath system was tense. The alien fleets hovered cautiously, still observing the lone human vessel, the Resolute, as it moved calmly through their formations. For hours the Coalition had probed, tested, and examined, and for hours the Resolute had responded without panic, without reckless aggression, and without showing its full capabilities. But patience has limits, even for humans. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge, hands resting lightly on the console. His crew worked in seamless harmony, monitoring the movements of hundreds of alien ships. The Coalition had underestimated them, and now the time had come to show just how dangerous one human ship could be, without needing an armada. "Lieutenant Vance," Ward said quietly, "prepare the main array. Initiate sequence Delta Zero when I give the signal." Vance raised an eyebrow but did not hesitate. She had served under Ward long enough to know that when he spoke, there was always a reason. "Sequence Delta Zero ready, sir," she replied. Ward nodded, looking out at the vast alien fleets. They think their numbers are enough. They think caution will protect them. Let's show them the gamble they've made by underestimating humanity. The first move came subtly. The Resolute did not fire. It did not raise shields aggressively. Instead, it adjusted its energy output, causing small but significant fluctuations across the ship's hull. The energy field surrounding the vessel pulsed faintly, almost imperceptibly, creating tiny distortions in space itself. In the alien fleets, sensors went wild. Readings flickered, energy signatures appeared unusual, and several ships experienced momentary system malfunctions. Drones sent to probe the humans were deflected by invisible forces. Small but critical systems on enemy ships experienced unexplained failures. "What is happening?" Admiral Ralkith shouted, slamming a clawed hand against the table. "One ship cannot do this." "Impossible." "It is exactly what I feared," Taylor replied calmly. "They are demonstrating that one ship is enough because it can exploit weaknesses we cannot predict. They are showing us the gamble we have taken by waiting too long." The Coalition had underestimated humans once more. They had expected force, but what they faced was precision, strategy, and technology used in ways they had never imagined. On board the Resolute, Ward walked among the crew, observing their work. Every operator was focused, adjusting the ship's systems, monitoring the alien fleets, and tracking every anomaly. "They are testing us," Ward said softly. "Every probe, every signal, every movement. But we are ready. We will not strike recklessly. We will only act when the moment is right." Lieutenant Vance nodded. "They're moving a larger fleet toward us now. It looks like they intend to force a reaction." "Let them," Ward replied. "We have already turned hesitation into their weakness. The larger they come, the more they expose themselves. Humanity does not need brute force. We need precision and timing. That is our edge." The Coalition fleets advanced. Small frigates moved first, probing carefully, attempting to identify weaknesses in the Resolute's defenses. Larger ships followed, their weapon systems primed, ready to unleash destruction. But as they approached, one after another experienced minor malfunctions. Engines stuttered, shields faltered, communications faltered. "What is happening?" one admiral demanded. "Their technology should not be capable of this." "It is not just technology," Taylor said. "It is human ingenuity. One ship, one crew, one mind focused entirely on adaptation. They exploit every advantage, seen and unseen. That is the gamble they take, and the gamble we failed to predict." Inside the Resolute, Ward smiled faintly. The humans were not attacking recklessly. They were creating opportunities, waiting for the precise moment to act. Then the moment arrived. Ward's voice rang clearly across the bridge. "Initiate Delta Zero." The ship hummed as energy fields shifted. The pulsing intensified, expanding outward in subtle but controlled waves. The alien fleets felt the effects immediately. Ships' engines failed temporarily. Weapon systems went offline and sensors went dark in several squadrons. Fleets that had seemed immovable were suddenly paralyzed. Chaos spread among the Coalition. Pilots and crews scrambled, trying to understand what had happened. What should have been a decisive advantage for hundreds of ships became confusion and hesitation. The human ship had not fired a single shot, yet the battlefield had shifted entirely. "Unbelievable," Ralkith roared. One ship is controlling the battlefield." Taylor remained calm, not controlling, demonstrating. "Humanity does not need to destroy us all. They only need to show that one ship can change everything, and we are seeing it firsthand. The Resolute moved now, subtly but decisively. It targeted weak points in the alien formations. Gaps between ships, engines struggling to restart, communication arrays faltering. The humans did not destroy. They disabled, neutralized, and gained strategic advantage without violence. "Observe and learn," Ward said to his crew. "We are showing them restraint, but we are also proving our point. One ship can shape events without ever firing a destructive shot." The coalition fleets struggled to regroup. Panic spread in small waves. Commanders who had relied on numbers realized that sheer size meant little when one opponent could predict, adapt, and exploit with precision. "Do you see it?" Taylor asked quietly. "They are not reckless. They are precise. One ship is enough because it thinks differently, acts differently, and has the courage to take risks we cannot imagine." Even Ralketh, furious and frustrated, had to admit she was right. The humans had turned their gamble into advantage, and it was a gamble only humans could have taken. Aboard the Resolute, Ward's crew worked seamlessly. Each minor adjustment, each shift in energy output, each subtle movement contributed to the larger strategy. The ship was alive with purpose, and the crew moved as one. "They expect aggression," Ward said softly. "We will give them control, but not without teaching the lesson. One ship, one crew, one mind. Never underestimate humans." The alien fleets watched in disbelief as the human ship continued to dominate without firing its weapons. Each minor failure in their systems caused hesitation and fear. Even small errors spread quickly, showing that one ship could destabilize hundreds when used wisely. Hours passed, and the coalition realized a bitter truth. The human ship had turned the odds. They had thousands of vessels, advanced weapons, and experience in war. Yet one ship operating with clarity, focus, and ingenuity had created doubt and fear. "Is this possible?" a young admiral asked quietly. Taylor nodded. "Humans are not predictable. They thrive in adversity. One ship can outmatch hundreds if used wisely. The gamble they took was to send a single vessel. And the gamble has paid off." Ralketh's face twisted in anger. "One ship cannot defeat hundreds, yet they have turned hesitation into power. One ship, one human, has done what we thought impossible." On the Resolute, Captain Ward watched the alien fleet slowly withdraw. Their movement was careful, deliberate. They were still powerful, still dangerous, but now they were hesitant, unsure, and calculating. Humanity had turned a situation of overwhelming odds into a controlled battlefield. "Prepare a message," Ward said. "Send it on all channels. Let them understand our position clearly. We did not attack. We did not destroy. We only demonstrated our capability." Lieutenant Vance complied, sending a simple, calm transmission. "Humans are not reckless. We will defend ourselves if necessary, but we prefer understanding and cooperation. One ship is enough because we think, adapt, and act with purpose." The message echoed across the system, reaching every alien vessel. Silence followed, then murmurs of realization. The coalition could no longer see the humans as weak. They had underestimated the power of one ship, and in doing so, they had learned a lesson they would never forget. Taylor watched the human ship through the holographic display. "They have taught us something important," she said. "One human ship, one human crew, can change the course of a conflict without firing a weapon. That is the essence of their power, the unseen edge combined with courage and strategy." Ralketh growled but could not argue. Humanity had once again demonstrated that strength was not only measured in numbers, weapons, or size. Sometimes it was measured in clarity, focus, and the willingness to take calculated risks. The Resolute continued on its course, undisturbed. The human gamble had worked. One ship had held the system at bay, forced hesitation among hundreds of alien vessels, and demonstrated that humans were not to be underestimated. The coalition fleets regrouped cautiously, still wary of a single vessel that had changed everything. Doubt had entered their ranks. Hesitation had replaced confidence. And the galaxy, vast and endless, had learned a small but powerful truth. One human ship could accomplish more than any fleet of conventional strength. Captain Ward turned to his crew, a faint smile on his face. "The gamble worked. But remember, this is only the beginning. One ship can teach a lesson. One ship can survive against hundreds, and one ship can remind the galaxy why humans should never be underestimated. The crew nodded, understanding the weight of their actions. They had not fired a single shot, yet they had achieved victory in influence and strategy. One ship, one crew, one gamble, and the unseen edge of humanity had been revealed. The Zorath system was quiet, but it was a tense silence. The alien fleets hovered cautiously, still powerful but hesitant. Their sensors had recorded everything: the calm precision of the human ship, the small but decisive maneuvers, the subtle disruption of systems, and the strategic patience that had kept the Resolute unharmed. One human ship had turned the battlefield into a place of uncertainty, and the Coalition could not ignore it. Inside the Coalition command halls, debates raged, but for the first time fear tempered anger. Admiral Ralketh paced in frustration, slamming his claws against the table. "We have hundreds of ships. How can one human vessel, just one, bring us to hesitation?" Tayla watched him silently, her calm green eyes fixed on the holographic display of the human vessel. "It is not their size or numbers that make them dangerous," she said quietly. "It is their courage, their intelligence, and their ability to think differently. One ship is enough because humans see opportunities where others see obstacles." The younger admirals murmured among themselves, realizing the truth. The humans had used the battlefield not as a place to destroy, but as a tool to teach a lesson in precision, patience, and restraint, on board the Resolute. Captain Elias Ward walked along the bridge, observing his crew. The tension of the last hours had been replaced by a quiet satisfaction. They had faced overwhelming odds, survived, and demonstrated their point without unnecessary destruction. "Captain," Lieutenant Kara Vance said, "the Coalition fleets are holding formation, but they are hesitant. They are regrouping, but their movements are slower. They are trying to predict us, but they cannot." Ward nodded. "That is exactly what we wanted. We have not fought, yet we have influenced the battlefield. One ship can do what hundreds cannot when it uses the right approach. This is the lesson they will carry with them." The crew exchanged quiet smiles. They had acted not out of anger, but out of strategy. Humanity's strength lay not only in their weapons, but in their minds, their courage, and their ability to turn a disadvantage into an advantage. Back in the Coalition's command halls, the leaders convened an emergency council. The once confident voices were now quiet, tinged with respect and unease. One admiral finally spoke aloud what many had been thinking. "They are not reckless," he said. "One ship, and yet they have controlled the battle without even firing. They have shown patience, knowledge, and precision. They are different from us in ways we cannot measure." Ralketh growled, but even he could not deny the truth. Humans were unlike any species he had encountered. They were unpredictable, clever, and resilient. One ship against hundreds had not only survived, it had shaped the actions of an entire coalition. Tayla leaned forward, her voice calm but firm. "We must recognize what has happened. They have taught us a lesson. Never underestimate a species that is willing to take a calculated risk and trust in its own abilities. One ship can hold the power of many because it represents more than steel and energy. It represents human ingenuity." The council fell silent, each member reflecting on the events they had witnessed. One small ship, yet it had changed the perception of an entire fleet. In the Resolute, Ward activated the communication array. A calm, clear message was sent to every Coalition vessel. "We have not come to fight. We have come to show our willingness to understand and cooperate. Humanity does not need to destroy to assert strength. One ship is enough because we act with purpose, intelligence, and restraint." The message spread through the alien ranks. For the first time, the Coalition did not hear threats or warnings. They heard a lesson. One human vessel had proven that strength could be measured in more than firepower, and that courage, strategy, and calm precision could outmatch even the largest fleets. The alien fleets began to move with care. No longer did they attempt reckless maneuvers or aggressive probes. Each ship now acted as if treading carefully, understanding that one misstep could trigger responses they could not predict. The humans had turned the tables. They had not destroyed fleets, yet they had changed the dynamic entirely. "Observe this," Tayla said to the council. "They did not attack. They did not show aggression, yet the Coalition's confidence has faltered. One ship, one crew, one mind has reshaped an entire battlefield." Ralketh could not speak. His pride and fury were restrained by the truth he could not deny. Humans had taken a gamble, and they had won not through brute force but through ingenuity and courage. On board the Resolute, Ward watched the alien fleets from the observation window. The stars of the Zorath system shimmered behind the distant ships, a quiet reminder of the vastness of space. "Captain," Vance said, "they are signaling. They want dialogue. They are ready to communicate without hostility." Ward allowed a faint smile. "Exactly what we hoped for. One ship is enough not just to survive but to open paths to understanding. Humanity did not come to destroy, they came to teach a lesson. And it worked." The crew felt a quiet pride. They had faced impossible odds and emerged not by firepower, but by using the strength of their minds, their courage, and their unity. One ship had shown the Coalition what it meant to underestimate humanity, and why it was always a mistake. In the Coalition's command halls, the atmosphere had shifted. Discussions no longer focused on aggression. Instead, leaders debated how to respond to this new reality. One voice, quiet but firm, spoke clearly. "We underestimated humans," she said. "We assumed their numbers and size would limit them. We thought one ship could not matter, but they have proven that humans are more than their vessels. They are creativity, courage, and strategy combined. One ship is enough because humans think differently. We must respect that." The room fell silent, each member realizing that humanity had changed their perception forever. Ralketh remained silent, staring at the display of the Resolute. One ship, just one, and yet it had taught the Coalition a lesson that fleets of ships never could. The Resolute continued on its course through the system. Its mission was not complete, but the first step had succeeded. The humans had demonstrated that courage, ingenuity, and careful planning could achieve more than sheer numbers. One ship had shifted the balance of power and instilled a cautious respect among the galaxy's most powerful fleets. Ward turned to his crew. "Remember this," he said. "We did not destroy. We did not dominate. We acted with purpose, precision, and patience. One ship is enough because we use it wisely. Humanity does not need fleets to make a statement. One ship, when guided by thought and courage, can change the course of history." The crew nodded, understanding the weight of his words. Humanity's strength was not only in its numbers, but in its ability to think, adapt, and act with purpose. In the days that followed, the Coalition began to communicate openly with the humans. Negotiations began, carefully and respectfully. The memory of one ship operating alone yet effectively remained in every mind. Fleet formations adjusted. Policies shifted. The galaxy had learned that humanity was a force to be respected, not feared blindly. The lesson of the Resolute would be remembered for generations. One human ship, acting with courage and intelligence, had changed the course of events without a single destructive strike. The Coalition had learned that to underestimate humans was dangerous, and to engage them required more than numbers. It required understanding, respect, and caution. As the Resolute prepared to leave the Zorath system, Ward looked out at the stars, calm and satisfied. Humanity had shown its edge, the unseen edge that combined courage, intelligence, and precision. One ship had been enough, and the galaxy would never forget it. One ship, one crew, one human gamble, a lesson written not in fire and destruction, but in strategy, restraint, and the quiet power of humanity. The stars shimmered ahead, full of possibilities. One ship had shown the Coalition what it meant to underestimate humans, and the galaxy would remember that lesson forever.